Why do people continue to recommend this manga? I don't know about you, but I've seen this particular manga recommended me more times than I can count, from famous YouTubers like TheAnimeMan or even close friends who are longtime manga fans. But why? Well, let's find out. Let's talk about Oyasumi Punpun. Oyasumi Punpun is a manga written and drawn by Asano Inio, who has also written another famous manga called TheAnimeMan, which I will also cover sometime. Hey guys, this is something I wanted to try and do for a while now. These types of videos are going to be like a semi-review slash semi-introspective slash semi-recap. That's how you know I'm terrible at math. Well, it's going to also include some commentary, so... But I'm not confident enough to try to do a whole series yet, and reviewing one chapter clearly isn't enough to get any meaningful points across. So I picked a random number of chapters that we'll read and try to review, and I'm going to try my best to sift through any meaningful pieces of information that we may end up passing. So who knows, if this gets picked up by the algorithm, maybe I'll do a video on more than just 7 chapters. Maybe I'll do the whole series. We'll see. So, chapter 1. So we start the story with Punpun, the main character, and he's a bird. The MC's a friggin' bird. It's not even like one of those isekais where that one time I fell down a well and I hit my head, but I hit my head the right way, so I get reincarnated as a bird man. No, the main character is just a bird, but most other characters are depicted as regular people, so it's a little jarring at first, but he's a normal person. It's just we as the viewers see him as a bird. It's a bit of a stylistic choice by the author. So speaking of the author, Mr. Inio Asano, yeah, he's great. I've read like one other work of his, TheAnimeMan, pretty good. It deals with similar themes. Well, let's get back to the story. We see Punpun, he's reminiscing about a girl in his class who recently moved away and changed schools. Well, that's not too bad, you might think. Well, let's see what she looks like. Oh my god. Okay. I've been taught not to judge a book by its ugly face. Sometimes kids get the ugly. Unlike me, as a kid, I was cool, I think. Punpun remembers when he first met this classmate, Misa, who was shoveling gravel into a poor kid's mouth. And wait, what did she do? Yeah, she just got this poor kid pinned down on the ground, got him eating grounded dirt for lunch. Then she got the audacity to ask Punpun to keep it a secret. I'm slapping you and then I'm calling the cops. But Punpun's a simp and falls for her. Yeah, this is just the first few pages. You might want to sit back for this. Okay, so Punpun is sitting in class. He's depressed about the psycho crush that changed schools until his teacher comes in and introduces a new student, Miss Aiko Tanaka. Immediately, Punpun gets a crush on her. You know, he's a simp, so crushes don't last as long as they do for regular people. She catches him following and threatens to call the police. Okay, wait, after school, they're going home and Punpun's following her like a friggin' madman, like some stalker. This is literally her first day at school, and this dude he's already not up to any good. Well, she catches him and threatens to call the police if he doesn't show himself, and this immediately freaks him out. You see, that's what you get for being a simp, boy. But Aiko ends up not calling the cops. They end up walking home together, and Aiko shares with Punpun her dream of becoming an actress, a singer, or a model. All 3, apparently. I mean, as a kid, I definitely was not that greedy. I think I wanted to be a paleontologist. Still do. Dinosaurs are cool. Love dinosaurs. Okay, she also shares some pretty extreme views, like the Earth running out of oil in a few years. I mean, might be true, I don't know. And then causing the environment to collapse, thus pushing us to find other stars to colonize, or humanity will go extinct. She says she plans on making a lot of money in her teens, and then spending all of it in her 20s. Youth. Bad planning, but a lot of heart. Story of my life. Aiko and Punpun breach Aiko's home, but, well, from the get-go, you can tell that something is off. You know, you can see this sign reads Cosmo Health Center. I don't know who lives in the health center, but I'm not gonna judge. Mark a couple points off of that. And then you see these group of weird people doing freaking hand symbols. I think one guy's trying to dab over there, but you know, they're 40, so they can't really bend over that much. It just feels off. I'm sure it'll come up later again too, so keep that in mind. We finally get to Punpun's own living situation, and he has 2 loving parents, and they're also birds. Great. We see Mr. Punyama, that's Punpun's last name, Punyama. Try to say that 7 times fast, you can't. So he's sitting on the couch watching baseball, and that makes Punpun remember how he wanted to be a baseball player when he grew up because he wanted to win his father's affection. And Honestly, that hurts. I never knew my father. Okay, let's move on. All right, Mr. Punyama then gets into an argument with Mrs. Punyama over not getting any more beer. And he starts calling her some pretty bad names. Things start to get heated. And, well, Punpun sadly he tells us he's very used to it. So he goes off to his room while thinking about what his dream is. At this point, the story gets a little trippy. Okay, so Punpun, he learned a chant from his uncle saying it summons God. He says the chant, God shows up, but he's like this dude with an afro who's drawn in a really stylish way. It's different from how Punpun is drawn. That's why it stands out. It looks cool though. I don't know if he's a reference to something. I mean, if somebody else knows, tell me down in the comments below. Moving on. So Punpun is talking with God and he asks him how he can help his parents make up. Punpun then asks what kind of grown-up will he be when he grows up. God tells him basically he should just relax, take it slow. Granted, he then says not to tell kids that when he grows up, so take that as you may. Punpun is then brought back to reality by his dad. His dad gives Punpun a telescope as a gift. I mean, he let slip that he got it through gambling, so I hope nobody already picked their own father of the year. Mr. Punyama is going to be pretty hard to beat. So Mr. Punyama instills in his son that a man's got to keep his eyes on something huge, dreams, passion. That stuff is real. Those words ignite something deep within Punpun. He finally finds a dream for himself. That is to be a space scientist. That way he can colonize the stars and win Aiko's heart with a shared interest. Punpun finishes his dream essay and goes to bed, hoping Aiko will fall in love with him. Sadly, disaster strikes. For the next morning, he finds that his mother has been assaulted and the entire downstairs is a mess. Mr. Punyama, he assures Punpun that a burglar broke in and hurt his mother. You believe me, don't you, Punpun? End. The next chapter starts with Punpun in a police station and tells us he hasn't attended school that day. We get introduced to Punpun's uncle Yuichi, who moves in to take care of Punpun. We learn that Punpun's mother survives the attack, but will be hospitalized for a while. Punpun's father is in prison. We found out Uncle Yuichi is unemployed and lives with his parents in Ofuna, but so far he seems like a good guy. So the next day, Punpun goes back to school, but things are awkward between him and his friends, as everybody knows what happened with his parents. Punpun is then called up to the front of the class to read out his essay. Punpun doesn't immediately respond, so his teacher assumes that he didn't finish it. That's when things get weird again. This teacher, bro, this dude just starts going crazy about not doing homework, running around on the floor, frothing at the mouth, like, you name it. This dude's just, it came out of left field too. The dude's just crazy. I can't make this stuff up. Threw me through a loop, I tell you. One of Punpun's friends actually speaks up and tells the teacher that Punpun actually did finish his essay. Then the teacher did a complete 180 and tries to play it off like he was just kidding. I would have had to go to counseling after that, honestly. If it was me. It then cuts to the principal and vice principal playing hide and go seek with close-ins on their excited faces. I swear I can't read this manga at night. It's too random, but stylized enough where I can't look away. So we cut back to Punpun ready to read, but he starts to doubt himself and his plan to win Aiko's heart. He starts to think, what if he gets made fun of? Which is very understandable. I hated public speaking in high school, middle school, everywhere. So Punpun just books it. This dude just runs out of the class. But before he does, he lies and says that his dream is to be a normal salaryman and have a normal family. Punpun decides to hide in a storage closet. All the while, Punpun's friends talk about how weird Punpun's been acting and how they didn't know what to say to him when he returned to school, since they know his dad's in jail on suspicion of assault. But before the chapter ends, we see that Aiko finds Punpun's essay that he dropped while running away, and she reads it. Also, remember earlier when I said that there was a hide and seek game going on between the principal and vice principal? Yeah, they pop in and out between panels sometimes. Nothing too major, just went back and saw that. Man, this manga is weird. And Chapter 3 opens up on the face of the principal, and man, was this face just creepy. I swear I both love and hate the faces in this manga. They're very expressive and well drawn and all of that, but it's like a double-edged sword to me. Like, I don't know what type of horrors I'm gonna see next page. Just give me time to get it all out of my system. Whew. Okay. I think I'm good. Back to the chapter. Okay, Punpun's entire class is now searching all over for Punpun, who at the end of last chapter we saw hiding in the storage closet with the vice principal. Punpun begins to doubt himself and his dream of colonizing the stars and if he even wants to be a scientist anymore. At that moment, Aiko burst into the storage closet. She's been asking Punpun why he'd ever lie about being a scientist and how cool she actually thinks it is. That he should tell them that he wants to save them from extinction and calls Punpun a coward. She assures Punpun that it doesn't matter what others think about his dreams and takes him by the hand out into the gymnasium. Punpun starts to have a change of heart and proclaims his love for Aiko in the gym. Aiko then kisses Punpun before leaving him flustered on the gym floor. Punpun spends the next class thinking about Aiko, although while daydreaming, he's passed an invitation to a porno flick viewing at their friend Shimizu's house that Sunday. Alright. Next, the manga cuts to Punpun's uncle Yuichi having a meeting with his teacher and the principal. Uncle Yuichi thanks the gentleman before leaving to meet with a lawyer. The teacher thanks him for the trouble, but Uncle Yuichi brushes him off, saying everyone deals with trouble in their lives. It's something that no one can escape. The next scene cuts to Punpun's music class singing a very popular Japanese folk song by the band Akai Tori called Tsubasa wo Kudasai, or Please Give Me Wings in English. Chapter 4. Punpun excitedly helps his uncle Yuichi unpack and move his belongings into his dad's room. Although Punpun is confused as to why Yuichi is moving into his father's room, but Yuichi assures him it's only temporary. Soon after, the two visit Punpun's mother in the hospital. The doctor assures the two that Punpun's mother has no lingering long-term effects from her head injury and will soon be released from the hospital. Though on the bus ride home, Punpun tells his uncle Yuichi that he doesn't really want his mother to return. Uncle Yuichi responds that it is true that she's a moody person, but she means well. After stopping at a ramen shop, Uncle Yuichi decides to separate from Punpun for a bit. Before that, Punpun asks Yuichi when his dad will return home. And to that question, Yuichi doesn't really have an answer. At least, not one he can give Punpun. Not now, at least. Do you think if I ask God, he'll come home soon? Punpun asks. By saying, dear God, tinkle, tinkle, hoy, he chants. Uncle Yuichi is put off and confused, to which Punpun reminds him that Yuichi told him about that chant when he was younger. Yuichi gives Punpun a 5-inch yen to get a popsicle on the way home and then separates from him. We later see Uncle Yuichi at a bridge smoking while gathering his thoughts. The chapter ends with Punpun getting a winning popsicle stick to his surprise. And Chapter 5. Chapter 5 begins with Punpun and his friends meeting up at Shimizu's house for the porno flick viewing mentioned earlier. To their dismay, Shimizu cancels DFS due to unforeseen circumstances. Crushed, the group heads to a park nearby. Some of the boys call Shimizu a liar and recount the other times he lied, such as when he said he could shoot a Kamehameha. I mean, I'm more of a destructo disc guy myself. Okay. One of the boys decides that they shouldn't play with Shimizu anymore and spits on the ground in frustration. Punpun kicks dirt over the spit, which confuses the rest of his friends. They urge him to spit too, which Punpun tries and fails at. The boys decide to search for their own porno mag, which they succeed in finding pretty easily. I mean, what the heck? Why are there so many magazines out and about? Although while looking through it, the boys are soon spotted by girls from their class. Punpun sees Aiko is in the group and gets nervous. Quickly, the boy with glasses, his name is Harumi, lies and says they were planning a secret vacation for summer break. Punpun nervously agrees. Before leaving, Aiko chimes in saying how a vacation sounds really nice and that she wishes she could go somewhere really far away. One of the other girls scolds Aiko and tells her that she shouldn't easily believe what the boys say. Before leaving, Aiko asks if Punpun would ever lie, to which Punpun freezes. Later that night, while thinking about the magazine and Aiko, Punpun, let's just say he took his first step to manhood. Come on, let's keep this PG. And Chapter 6. Well, after Punpun took his first steps to adulthood, he tried to figure out what was this white liquid left behind. Punpun, confused, believes the strange white liquid in his bed to be a part of his brain that melted out and shot out of his wiener. He goes to his uncle Yuichi for help and any medical books he had. He lends Punpun some books and tells him that there are many things that he still doesn't know yet about the world. After flipping through the medical books, Punpun recalls the telescope his father gave him and decides to look for stars. But in that moment, he sees what looks to be a moving star. And excitedly, he calls in his uncle, but Yuichi soon finds out that it wasn't a new star. It was actually probably a moving satellite. And he begins to tell Punpun of this fact, but he stops, noticing Punpun's excitement over possibly discovering a new star. Not wanting to crush his hopes, Yuichi plays along with the idea that Punpun might have actually discovered a new type of star. Maybe they should call it Punpunjia. Punpun asks his uncle if he could win a Nobel Peace Prize for the new discovery, to which Yuichi tells him he's getting greedy. Punpun begins to fantasize about colonizing the new star with Aiko and using any extra money left over to make a house for his parents too, and buy any and every video game console imaginable. Punpun spends the entire night thinking about how Aiko and even his father would react to the news. Though, in class the next day, Punpun isn't able to find a chance to speak with Aiko. But in the bathroom, the boys all spot Harumi being confessed to by a girl in the courtyard. And Chapter 7 begins with Harumi lagging behind while running laps. He's still daydreaming about the girl that confessed to him. The boys talk about Harumi going out with the girl. If you like each other, you go out. This was a new concept to Punpun. Punpun began to think about what going out would entail. The only info he had to go on was what his friend Harumi had once told him. It's when a boy puts his thing in a girl's. It was at that moment Punpun collapsed and had to be taken to the nurse's office. Punpun wondered how Aiko could feel about him. While he wondered furiously, he failed to notice the arrival of another student who came to the nurse's office for a scraped knee. Once the nurse left, the kid lies next to Punpun. It was Aiko. She says she fell on purpose to get a chance to speak with Punpun one-to-one. Aiko asks Punpun if he loves her. Punpun nervously nods yes, and Aiko tells him that because he loves her, she loves him too. Aiko talks with Punpun about Sonoda, that being the girl that confessed to Harumi. Aiko talks about how Sonoda gave Harumi a love letter, and that they plan to go to a theme park during summer vacation. She mentions how she wants to go somewhere far away, that it doesn't have to be a theme park. Aiko also says that she's not jealous of them, that she doesn't really care about what other people do, or even if everyone dies, as long as Punpun is there with her, because he loves her, and that he only ever think of her happiness, and nothing else. Punpun nervously nods again at her words, but this makes Aiko very happy. Punpun isn't really sure of what forever and ever would entail, but he couldn't put what he was feeling in words. But for convenience sake, there's one word that described his feelings: terrified. Later on, while walking home with his friends, they asked Harumi if he and Sonoda kissed, to which Harumi grumpily replied that he was dumped by her instead, because she didn't like that everyone found out about their relationship. Harumi loudly proclaims that he doesn't care about girls anymore. He's a PFS man for life, and so are his friends. What? While shouting PFS, they end up stumbling upon another magazine. End. Well, and that's the first 7 chapters of Oyasumi Punpun. I hope you enjoy this type of video summary. I plan on continuing this type of video, but of course, the format may change later on as I get better at editing and, well, script writing. But feel free to check out my other videos on this channel and subscribe if you like what you see. This is Elante signing out.